Hey fellow beaters, so I have a new tutorial for you. I am calling this my checkerboard bracelet, and I'm using superduos, bicones, and seed beads. That is all you need to make this bracelet. Well, maybe, a clasp and some, thread too would be good. Okay, so starting over here on the left, these are 4mm bicones, and these are from Potomac Beads. The color is called Cream Opal, and I will have all of the information in the description box below. So check down there for colors and numbers and everything. Over here, number 2, these are Miyuki 11-0 seed beads. This is Duracoat Galvanized Light Champaign is the color. My first color of superduos is chalk red, and the second is jet. So you don't necessarily need 2 colors, but I think it just completes the look a little bit better if you do use 2 colors. So totally up to you though. And now to make this bracelet, I needed 7 units, and my bracelet is 6 inches. If I can find my ruler, there it is. I'm like staring at it going, okay. So let's see, get that right under. So it's actually slightly under 6 inches. It's like 5 3/4 of an inch. But with the clasp, it makes it 6 inches. So just to give you an idea of how many units you'll need to make. So you'll need to make about 8 or 9 units if you need a longer bracelet. But I will have all the numbers in the description box below. But if you kind of look at it this way, you'll need 6 bicones for 1 unit, and let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 12 superduos to make 1 single unit. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, so to start the bracelet, what you want to do is start with 3 superduos. So I'm using 2 different colors. So I have a color that's going to go in the centers of my set here. So I'm using red, black, and red. And then an 11. Then I'm doing the same thing again, red, black, and red in my 3 superduos, and 11, 3 superduos, 11, 3 superduos. So you want to have a total of 4 sets. And actually I need 1 more 11. So bring that down. So now I have a total of 4 sets of everything. So this is my 1 set, 3 superduos and an 11, and then set 2, set 3, and set 4. So that's what you want to do when you start. And I'm going to go ahead and just tie a knot and bring everything into a circle. And you want to make sure this is nice and tight. And this is what you have. So the knot should be between an 11 and a superduo. And what I'm going to do is continue to the next 2 superduos. So in this case, I want to exit out of my black superduo. And I can see my knot is getting loose. I want to make sure that's tight, so. Okay, that should do it. So, as I said, continue into the first 2 superduos. And then switch to the other hole of the superduo. So I'm just going to flip this. And then I want to exit out of my central superduo here. Now I'm going to pick up an 11 and go into my other superduo that's in the middle. So in this case, it's going to be all of my color B, my black superduos. And what I want to do is move them towards the center. Just like so. And then again, pick up another 11, just 1 11, and go into my color B superduo. And you're just moving them into the center. So we've got to do this 2 more times. So once again, pick up an 11 and go into the central superduo. And last time, pick up an 11 and then just go into the last superduo. You want to connect all 4 of these color B superduos together. And this is what you should get. And I'm just going to tug on everything. I'm holding them down with my thumb and then giving the thread a tug, and that should bring them into the center. And you can go through them again, so that's also something you can do, but what I'm going to do is just continue into, I want to exit out of a superduo, so I'm just going to continue into this next superduo here. And I'm going to turn, so I'm going to switch into the other hole of the superduo and then go up into my color A superduo. So in this case, my red one. And make sure my thread goes in place. And now, time to switch to the second hole of my red superduo here, color A. Okay, so now what I need to do is start adding my bicones and my 11s. So in this here, where I have a superduo between the 2 superduos, I'm going to add 2 11s. Just like so. And in the space where I have a seed bead between these 2 superduos, I'm actually going to add an 11, my bicone, and an 11. And then go into the next superduo here. Just like so. So I get them both into place, and I'm going to do that all the way around. And I'm just going to adjust. Hopefully it makes the lighting look a little better. Seems like it looked a little dark to me. So again, you can see there's a superduo between my 2, so that means 2 11s. And now I have an 11 between my superduos here, so it's going to be an 11, a superduo or a bicone, and an 11. And go into that. And then once again, you're alternating basically, so once you get it going, you'll know which way to go. So you just got to make sure you know when you start that you're, depending on where you're coming out, that it's whether you're using bicones and seed beads or just seed beads alone. So, and this time it's time for a bicone and my seed beads. And then 2 11s. And this last one is going to be the bicone. Now go through the superduo, the 11s, and this is what you should have at this point, is our first component. And I'm coming out of these 2, this seed bead here. So what I'm going to do is continue into my superduo and my 11. And then I'm going to pick up 5 11s. And I'm going to skip over the bicone and go into the 11 and the superduo. And you should have a nice little loop around the 11s. Then switch to the second hole of the superduo and go ahead and go through the 11 if you can. Then go into the next superduo. And now we're going to switch again, switch to the other hole of the superduo. And you're going to come up through the next 3, actually the next 4 seed beads. So I've gone through the superduo and I'm coming out of an 11, so I need to go up 3 more. Basically I want to come out of the central 11. And then I'm going to pick up 4 11s. And I'm going to make my loop for the clasp, so I'm going to make that diamond that I typically make in a lot of my designs. So I'm going to go back through this 11. I'm going to go into my first 11. Then I'm going to pick up an 11 and go into the next one. Pick up an 11, go into the next one. And I'm going to pick up an 11 and go into my next two 11s. Oh, looks like I didn't get into that last one. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to reinforce. Just going back through all the beads, not adding anything. And I have gone all the way around. So now I'm just going to go ahead and come down some of the 11s that are on this side of the bicone. And I need to make my way to the opposite side, so the bicone on this side. So I'm just going to go through all of these beads little by little. And I'm just going to flip it up so that I can work in the up direction. A little bit easier on my hand. All right, so there is our first component. Now to start the next one, I actually need more seed beads, so let me dump out a little bit more so that we can keep going. Okay, well, I kind of spread them all over, but that's okay. And what else do I need? I need more superduos too. Okay, so now that we've gotten ourselves a few more beads, now for the next part, I'm going to pick up an 11, and then I'm going to pick up a superduo. Bring those down to the end of the thread, and holding my superduo as close to the thread, as close to these beads as possible here, I'm going to switch to the second hole of the superduo, and just making sure there's no slack. So this is what you get. I'm going to pick up another 11 and a superduo, bring those down. Now I'm going to once again switch to the second hole of this superduo, and then pick up an 11 and go into the bicone, just like so. And this is what you should have. So you should have the start of the next component, just like so. Now I'm going to go ahead and go through the beads one more time just to reinforce this. So go through the 11 and then the superduo. All right, just went through the 11. Now I'm going to go into the superduo. I'm going to switch into the other hole of the superduo, go through the 11, and then go through the superduo again. Okay, so I'm actually, let's go back up then. You're switching to the second hole of the other superduo through the 11 and the bicone. All right, last time now. We're not actually, I just need to get down to the second hole of the superduo. So I'm just going to go through the 11 and the superduo. And switch. And now I'm done. So now what we're going to do is we have to pick up all of these superduos and seed beads that make up the component. So if you remember, I always did this in the sets of 3. So I'm now going to pick up color B and color A in my superduos. So that's an 11. So that's one set. Now for set 2, color A, color B, color A, and an 11. And set 3, A, B, A, and 11. Okay, so set 4, we need, oh, let me move that one. It looks like it's damaged. So A and B, and then the other A is here. This is our other one. And then there's that 11 for that one. So then just go ahead and go through. So you're going to go through the bottom hole in this case of the superduo and the 11 if you can. You can also go through this other superduo, but we'll come back to that in a second here. And this brings it all together. Go into the next 2 superduos. So come out of color B superduo. And like so. Now we're going to switch to the second hole of this superduo. Pick up an 11. Go into the next superduo. And push these down towards the center. Then pick up another 11. Go into this next color B superduo. This is why I think the color, having 2 colors makes it a little bit easier to kind of work with this particular pattern. And then again, pick up an 11, go into this last superduo here, and now we got to connect just this last, the first to the last. So just go ahead and go through those. And I'm just holding my thumb in the center and just pulling. So we've got part of our component made. Now all we have to do is continue. So go ahead and go into the next superduo. So I'm coming out of the superduo, so I want to go into the 11 and this next superduo here. Then I'm going to switch directions and go into the second hole of my superduo, my black one, and then into the red superduo. And then switch to the other hole of the red superduo, or color A, depending on what colors you're using. Okay, so now we're in position. Now note that here is a superduo between 2 superduos, so you want to use 2 11s. All right, where did this thread wrap? There we go. And then the next part, it's actually going to be a bicone, so it's going to be 11, bicone 11, and then it's 2 11s, and then bicone, so 11 bicone 11, then 2 11s, and again 11, bicone 11, and now 2 11s. And just so you're going through the superduo, come out of the 11 and up into the bicone if you can. Sometimes, depending on the angle, you might not be able to. And that's okay. And just go through it now. And there is unit number 2. So now you're just repeating what we did in order to make the second unit. And then once you get to the last unit, you're going to do this part again. So go ahead and come out of this bicone here and then pick up an 11 and a superduo and keep going. So I think I will go through the whole thing one more time, so that way you don't have to get to see it once more. So I'm making my way to this bicone. Now we are here. We are exiting out of the bicone. Okay, so you're going to pick up an 11 and then the superduo and bring them down to the end of the thread. Switch to the other hole of the superduo. I'm going to try to hold that in place, make sure there's no slack in the thread. I'm going to pick up another 11 and another superduo. Bring those down to the end of my thread, switch to the second hole of the superduo, and pick up an 11, and then go into the bicone. Okay, so section of the unit is made. Now continue into the 11 and the superduo once again. So I'm going to go ahead and just reinforce what we just added. So switch to the second hole of the superduo, then go through the 11 and the second superduo here. Then switch to the second hole of this superduo and then go through the 11. And then go into the bicone. And that should tighten everything up and give it it'll be nice and snug and reinforced. Okay, now to get into position to add more beads. So I'm just going to flip it so it's a little easier. Coming out of that bicone, I'm going to go into the 11 and the superduo. And then I'm going to go switch in the second hole of the same superduo and go into the 11. And then continue into the next superduo here. Alright, so just like before, we have to pick up our 4 sets, right? So I already have my red, my color A, so I'm going to pick up 2 more superduos and an 11, and that's set 1. And then for set 2, I'm going to go ahead and pick up color A, color B, color A, and the 11. And then set 3. It is 3 superduos and an 11. Okay, so for set number 4, part of it is here. So what we want is then color A, color B, and color A again, and then there's that 11. So that completes our 4 sets. So go ahead and go through the superduo and the 11. Then continue into the next 2 superduos. So you want to exit out of a color B superduo, switch to the second hole of the superduo. Now pick up an 11 and go into the next superduo. And looks like I got loose. Don't worry. So what you're going to do is pull on the thread. And that should secure it. Now, go ahead and pick up another 11. Go into another superduo, color B. So, and you're just pushing these towards the center, and that helps them come together. And once again, pick up an 11. Go into my color B, in my case it's the jet superduo. And one last 11 to get these all together. So you can go ahead and reinforce these if you want. I think they're good enough that you don't need to worry about it, but give it a good tug so there's no slack in the thread. Now you want to go ahead and go through and come out of a superduo. Then switch to the second hole of the superduo and go into this next color A superduo. Now go ahead and switch to the second hole of this superduo here of our color A. So here's what we have so far. Now again, note that the color A's are between a superduo, so that means it's only 2 11s. That's what goes next. And then now it's time for an 11, a bicone, and an 11 in the next part. And you get the picture. You're going to alternate. And I picked up one too many 11s. And now 2 11s. And then it's 11 bicone 11. And then 2 11s. Whoops, 2, not 1, 2. And then 11 bicone 11. Ah, I lost this needle. There we go. Clumsy. Sometimes my fingers just don't cooperate. And the last 2 11s. So go ahead and go through the superduo, the 11 here. And usually, depending on the angle, I won't be able to get through that bicone. But that's okay. I can go through it after. Now come up through the bicone. And so to continue building the bracelet, you are just going to keep going. And just repeating the steps. Okay, so I have made my last unit and added my last seed bead. So these are these guys, I just added these. And I am coming out of the 11 over here. I just need to get to this side here. So what I'm going to do is go through the bicone. And I'm actually just going to turn it this way so that I can work upwards. Then it's through the 11 and the superduo. And then 11s and superduo again. Then it is 11 bicone. And now more 11 and 11 superduo. And 11s, superduo, and last time just going through the 11. Now go ahead and pick up 5. Elevens. Go over to the other 11 on the other side and into the superduo as well. Just like this, so you get this loop around the bicone. Now switch to the second hole of the superduo and go through the 11. Like so. Then go through the next superduo. Switch over to the other hole of that same superduo and then continue up into our loop. So I'm coming out of this 11. Now I just need to go through the next 3. So I want to come out of the middle 11. And then I'm going to pick up 4 11s and go back around the same 11. Now I'm going to go into the first 11 there in my group of 4. Then it's pick up an 11, go into the next one. Pick up an 11, go into the next one here. Pick up an 11, go into the next 2 11s, so and the diamond pattern is complete. So next step, I am just going to go into, I'm going to go through the beads again and reinforce. Okay, so we are almost done with the bracelet. Now we just got to add our bicones. So for the next part, what you want to do is you want to come down all of these and you want to come out of the first 11 here in the 2. So I'm just going to flip it over. Okay, so I'm going to come down and just start getting into position. So just going through some 11s and a superduo and then doing this again here. And then 11 and the bicone. And now 11 superduo and just my first 11. So note what I'm coming out of. Now pick up an 11, pick up a bicone, and another 11. And you're going to go directly across. So you see these 2 seed beads here, you're going to go across, but you're going to go into the top one and go up. So that places our bicone right in between. And then you're going to continue and repeat the same thing. So again, we're going to come out of this 11 over here. So I'm coming out of a superduo, so I'm going to continue through to the 11 bicone 11. And then just the superduo and the first 11 is what I want to come out of. So this could be a little tricky, so just wiggle your needle, it should come out. And we're going to add the next bicone now. So it is 11, bicone, 11, and go into the 11 here. So these beads should just pop right into place. There's enough spacing, so you don't need to pull too tight or anything. They just fall completely in place. So what you want to do is just keep going, adding bicones all the way here between all of our units, and then we are going to make our way around to the other side. All you have to do is just follow the beads, come out over here, and then repeat on this side. So pretty simple. I will go ahead and come back again to show you how to do the rest. Okay, so I've added the last bicone on one side. So I've gotten my bicones added. So I am coming out of this superduo here, and I just need to get to the other side. So I'm just going to continue through the 11 and the bicone, and then the 11 and the superduo. Continue through the next two 11s. So just go through as many beads as you can. I know with the superduo sometimes it can be really tricky to get through multiple beads. So going through the superduo. Now I'm going to go through the 11 and then the bicone. So this 11 here was originally added with the bicone like we have over here on this side. So then you can go through the bicone, and then the 11 next to the superduo, so those two. Almost to, this is where we need to exit, is out of this seed bead over here. So just got to go through a few more beads. So I went through the two 11s and a superduo. And now I just got to get through 11 bicone, and now 11 superduo, and okay, I am at my 11. So just go through this first 11 in this group of two. And so pick up an 11, a bicone, and the 11, and go across, so over here to the 2, and go up the first one at the top. And our beads here should pop into place, just like that. And then we just continue over to the next one, just like you did on the other side. And you keep going, and we should be done soon. So I got one more 11. And now I'm going to pick up an 11, a bicone, and an 11, and go across over here. If I can get my needle in there. So this is beaded nice and tight, which is good, but it can be a pain when you're trying to add more stuff. So there it goes. And I can't tell how many. There's the needle. Just took a second for it to come out. Okay, so just going to continue, and once you get to this last one, just tie a couple of half-inch knots here between the superduo and the 11s and the bicones and the 11s. I'll be back. Okay, so I have added the bicones to the other side. It is time to tie off. So to do that, I'm coming out of the superduo here, so I'm going to continue into the 11, and I'm going to tie my first half-inch knot here between the 11 and the bicone. So to do a half-inch knot, if you're a beginner and have never done this, is you're going to make a loop around the thread that is between the two beads, and then go through the loop and then tighten. And that is it. That is your half-inch knot. And then go through the bead and it'll pull the knot inside. Now I'm going to go ahead and go forward into the 11 as well, and then make a second knot between the superduo and the 11. And there's my loop. And done with the knot. So now I'm going to go into the superduo. And then go through the two 11s and make a third knot here between the 11 and the superduo here. So last one. And then just go into the superduo and weave the thread away a little bit. So I'm going to go into the 11 and then the bicone, because it's a nice bead, big bead with a big hole, so you can make plenty of thread passes through it. And then down into the 11 and superduo. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and trim my thread. Next step is to tie off So I'm going to grab my pliers. I've got my jump ring. I'm using a lobster claw, and I'm going to open the jump ring. So hold the jump ring, get it open. So jump ring should fit through the diamond here, and that's the whole reason I do these diamond loops, is that it helps. You kind of get a finished product. If you finish the bracelet, you've got yourself a complete bracelet. And one of the things that used to happen was I would finish a bracelet and then never add the clasp because it wasn't in, it was that extra little step, and so I'd have all these partially finished projects and no clasp on them. Okay, so I just gotta finish closing the jump rings. There we go. And then just add a jump ring or 2 or 3 onto the other side. So note, if you're a beginner again, note how I open the jump rings. I don't pull them apart, I open them from side to side. And they fit in. Also, the other thing to bear in mind, one of the other reasons why I try to make sure all of my designs have some type of diamond pattern, some way for you to add the clasp, is also, I think it looks more professional. So if you're selling your jewelry or giving it away as a gift, then this has a cleaner, completed look to it. And there it is. There is my checkerboard bracelet. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I shall see you in the next one. Have a good evening.